So behind us, we have the Aston Martin Outlaw. So this started life as a DBS 6 Vantage. And when it came to us, it definitely looked a hell of a lot different than it does now. It's been a long-standing project that we've been doing for the customer. So it's been in and out of storage a few times. But now what you see behind you is a kind of collective of ideas that have kind of happened over the past 6-7 years between us and the customer. So when it came to us, it was just an absolute bag of nails and just boxes and boxes full of parts. One of the biggest things we hit along the way was the colour. So we went through so many renditions with the customer about what he wanted to do colour-wise on this. And when it was in a point where it was in bare aluminium, that's when the customer liked it. That was peak for the customer there. And he, in an ideal world, he would love to have kept it aluminium, but we know that wasn't going to happen. So we just finished painting the car. It was an old Mitsubishi, actually, Mitsubishi Lancer. That was done in satellite silver, and he fell in love with the colour. He was like, that's the one. So lo and behold, this is Mitsubishi satellite silver. So this isn't one of our typical full custom resto-mod builds. We've pretty much done the exterior on this and reassembled the car. Obviously, we've done a few body modifications as well. So you can see it's been debumpered. Subtle changes which might not be apparent to the unkeen eye, but the arches have been pulled and flared. Obviously the whole body sits a bit lower to the ground. We've customised and made our own suspension system for this, so it sits lower and it's a really, really nice ride. But we've taken into consideration when doing all of this, it is an Aston Martin DBS, so everything is reversible if need be in the near future. Another difference, as many, I'm sure, Aston Martin enthusiasts will notice, is the front end, the grille especially. So we've ditched the original buckets just to give it that bit more of an aggressive feel. The original indicators and sides we've changed for these spots. Again, just nothing is irreversible. So this was just a nice kind of subtle nod to a bit more of a race car feel that we thought was necessary. One thing that caused me headaches for a long time when building this grille is only some people would notice that the grille itself is inset a couple of inches. So it's slightly different to the original, but still, again, this is still all the original grille as it came to us, but it's just been set back a couple of inches. And all this, rather than having this all anodised, clear anodised, so this has all been brushed and then finished in a clear Cerakote. It comprises of a custom gas coilover system, front and rear, telescopic shocks on the rear as well, all customised brackets by us. It sits about 3 inches lower than original, and as you can see, the wheels and tyres obviously aren't as standard either. They're standard fitment, so it still fits onto the original hubs with the original spinners actually still being used. But these are a Ford GT40 copy, and these are made by Image split rims, and they've been bespoke made exactly to this vehicle. So you can see the back end of this follows the same theme through the front end as well, so obviously debumpered. One of the things we didn't like about this car, I always think it's always looked like a bit of an aftermarket thought, a bit of an afterthought on the DBSs, is the rear floor pan that hangs down and obviously just covered by a rear valance as original. Obviously we've ditched the rear valance, ditched the rear bumper, and then that rear floor pan was a hell of an eyesore, so that had to go. So the floor has all been flushed in. The whole rear valance has been remade to follow the lines of the body, and if you look at this from the side silhouette, it almost imitates a bit of a American muscle car theme. The exhaust was a big thing as well. We had to make something that looked right and almost a bit of a nod to its original system, but also flowed with the body. So we talked about loads of different things, side exit exhaust and all sorts, but we needed them coming out the back. So it ended up reverting to the simplest design, just 2 upswept wheelbarrow handles at the back. Interior on this has remained untouched. Yeah, the only changes we've done on the interior is we've custom made these lower door pockets here, which have all been wrapped in a nice vintage leather. So these are to house the speakers, so it's got a Bluetooth sound system in there, kept all the original switches, radio and everything like that. I'd say 90% of it works, but bear in mind that most of it is all original Aston Martin stuff, so it's a bit quirky to say the least. The seats and all the rear, the headline, everything is just still original interior. So you might think it's a bit crazy to go to this extent on the exterior, but keep all the original interior. But it was always, from the get-go, that's what the customer wanted. He didn't want to go mad on going full restoration on this. It was never meant to be, you know, a show winner, a show car or anything like that. It was built to be a driver and have fun in, and I think that's what he's got. Under the bonnet, you see it carries the same theme throughout the rest of the car as well. It's not a showpiece under the bonnet. It was never meant to be. But what we have done is we have reverted to a throttle body injection system on this. So it's got Omex individual throttle bodies mounted to the original inlet plenums, utilising the original airbox and filter as well. The filter is not on there for some reason, but this is this is all run high pressure fuel pump system, return system, and this is running through Motorsport Electronics ME221, I want to say. So that's all running through an ECU system now, so it's all mappable, controllable, and in that way we optimize efficiency, fueling and everything, so it gives, you know, the customer the best experience on the road as possible. Other upgrades we've had in the engine bay, so we've upgraded the cooling system, so that's a bespoke built aluminium higher flow radiator to just help keeping temperatures down. And what else have we done there? Uprated servos, and of course the engine itself. So the engine, that's been the kind of main debate on this project from the get-go, because it was the original engine, wanted to keep the original engine, but as we tore it down, it just grew and grew and grew. I don't know what the overall time and money invested in the engine was at the end, but most of that was kind of done and arranged with the customer, and it was built at Chicane, who specialise in Aston Martins. So hopefully we've got a good, strong, reliable power plant which is delivering fairly good figures. I can't remember what the rolling road figures were, but obviously it wants bedding in, it wants driving, and then we'll probably revisit that and have a bit of a fine tune later on in the year after the customer's put a few miles on it. So keeping with the original theme, like we've still got all the original glass, all the original trims and everything like that. So all the original bright work is still on there. Mirrors have been changed, but all the bright work, everything is original as it came to us. And I mean, it's in fairly good condition, but you can see it's showing signs of where it is old now. Oh, I don't really know what to say there. So this isn't, and it was never meant to be, a full show-winning concours restoration. This, well, it's just the Outlaw. So like all projects that we've done, this has had its fair share of ups and downs, mainly downs on this. Just been given boxes and boxes full of parts, and figuring out how they go is never a fun thing to do. But we've kind of come out to the back of it. It's not completely finished. There's still a few little jobs that are kind of out of our remit now, and we're at a point now we want to hand it back to the customer, put some miles in it, have a bit of fun over springtime, and then bring it back to us for, you know, a bit of a teething list, and see if there's anything else he'd want to change in it. Me, personally, I'd definitely put some bigger brakes on there. One thing our customers or viewers always ask is the time, the hours, and ultimately the cost that goes into something like this. I think that'd be impossible for me to pluck off the top of my head at the moment. We've had this project from about 2017. It's been a very long-standing project with us, but it's been in and out of storage. That isn't like kind of full-time commitment on this. But there is undoubtedly, you know, thousands of hours gone into this, way past the hundreds, I imagine. I mean, the body working process and the paint process itself was enormous. There was a lot of aluminium work that needed doing on the body itself. Of course, when you go into doing bespoke work, or especially on a car of this caliber, then yeah, it throws its own kind of challenges along the way as well. So, I mean, it's not been cheap, and it's taken an awful lot of time, but look at the end. This is pretty a one of one in the world, Aston Martin DBS. I know a few other people who've been modifying Aston Martin DBSs now or at the moment, but I've got to say, I think we've really nailed this. I mean, the silhouette for me, the colour, the stance, the style, I think it just speaks for itself.